was legal. But apparently it's going to stand, Bulldog, this game. I heard they were reviewing it the whole game to see if it needed to be replayed.
Yeah.
But no. A jolt of excitement went through my family last night when we realized we have tickets to the other Tampa game.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a win.
Will that possibly not be a letdown?
That is a big it almost has to be.
You got to chase that 38 around. Is that what's going to have to happen?
If you're really, I don't know. It could be dangerous to try to overstate how great last night was. There's no way the next game can live up to it, but that doesn't mean it won't be great. But last night was just off the charts. I mean, I don't think maybe the brawl game with Ottawa in 2007.
That's the comp.
Right, that maybe is it's the same kind of game. It's the same they weren't new as rivals because they'd already had the 2006, series that the Sabres won. But there was animosity there. One team was used to being on top, the other one was coming, and that was Buffalo, and that was their year. They won wire to wire, the President's Trophy basically, in 2007. So it's not the roles are a little different, but the same sort of scenario.
I think the roles are, it's definitely the comp, but significant enough to talk about, like whether the Lightning, who I was not prepared to have be as goony as they were, respect the Sabres. Didn't it kind of look who's in goal? They used Vasilevsky in Toronto.
They used Vassy the night before, yeah.
And I don't know, maybe there's an arrogance with them that they just are going to come in and you can't tell them how it works.
I fully expected them to play that way. This is where watching a game every night has its benefit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They in Florida have had many games like this recently. As Florida sort of came up from the rear and past Tampa, they've been doing the same sort of thing. So I really felt like Tampa would lean into that. Let's take you out for a spin, Buffalo. Like how ready to play in a game where your temper is roiling and your emotions are running away from you. Can you still play? And it's 6-4 and 7-5 sitting there watching the third period. I'm thinking this is a good learning experience, right? Because you had to deal with all that, and then if you're not used to that adrenaline when it leaves and you got to start playing again, that's just a different experience for a lot of guys in that room that at this level have not had that sort of challenge. And so maybe it got away from them for a little while and Tampa sort of settled in, but Buffalo came roaring back and just a fantastic display all around. The fans, Dan on the call, just all of it was just a 10 to me. I just loved the experience of watching that game. I wished I'd felt well enough to get down to the arena for it.
It was refreshing to watch a Sabres game and be mad, but not at the Sabres. So many of these games for a decade have been just so unimportant. And I don't know, when somebody bullies them, if I'm watching it at all with any level of interest, if somebody bullies them, I'm usually mad at them for not having the kind of team that can respond to it or whatever. It's sort of yep, Brad Marchand has you in the palm of his hand. And that's not true anymore. I think that might be the greatest takeaway from last night. Any team can brawl, right? If that's what you're about, you could do that. But that's not really what the Sabres are about. They just stood up to it.
Right.
And so, man, Tampa's it now then, right? That's the team. That's the rival.
Yeah, they have decided. They decided that for us.
Yes.
I think, and the way the Sabres responded also, and, the stake being the division, obviously, they're, there's still 2 games in hand for Tampa, but Buffalo is ahead of them now, and just the fashion in which they needed to do it, again, showing up, handling, it proves, I think, hopefully once and for all, that we don't even really care how you do in the fights. Just show up. Just be the competitor that we want you to be when you see your guy get taken advantage of or whatever. Just be there. This is Ostlund a couple of weeks ago or last week, whatever day it was, when he jumped in after Dahlin got into it. That was in Tampa. That was the game on last Saturday in Tampa, I think. Right? Because Braden Point was who I think Ostlund ended up mixed up with in that. Anyway, just show up. And, if you can knock Corey Perry and that smug look off his face once in a while, knock him down, good. But really all we need for you to do is just be game for it. And the team rallies around that sort of emotion and that bonding. And again, it doesn't matter if, the fight card says 4-1 for Tampa in the 5 fights. Who cares? You showed up and you handled it and you won the game and you're in first place.
You could not deny the expressions on the Sabres players' faces throughout all that, right? I mean, the early fights did not go their way, but they were all smiling. Even the guys who were in the fight,
right.
Like they're in the penalty box kind of enjoying it. And I mean, I get that. The way the building must have felt.
Yeah.
And like, all right, this is going to be cool. It turns out to maybe have been the game of their lives. How many games have they ever I mean, for all the hockey these guys have all played, how many 8-7 fight fests have they ever been in? It's the last game like it in the NHL in terms of number of goals and penalty minutes was literally in the 80s. And if it's just penalties alone, it's 1994. Like 8-7. I mean, I grew up like you did, occasionally going to games that could get stupid on the scoreboard, if not also in the fights, rarely both. I can't believe I watched an 8-7 game where neither goalie was pulled. No empty net goals, no goalies taken out. Like, just was start to finish, close and competitive. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I know I went to a game that was 11-2 in the 80s for my birthday. I know I went to the 14-4 game. This was 7 goals in the second period, 7 more in the third. 1-0 after 1 last night. Like, oh, I was at a game where the Sabres scored 9 goals themselves in the second, but I'm just like trying to keep up.
Right.
And who cares? My family didn't care about my history, and they shouldn't.
Right.
But just trying to keep up with it in a game, like, you just do not get it. So I don't know if words can even really do it justice for not only what it was, but what it meant. Because this is not just like a random Columbus game in a bad year. Where, that would have been fun to talk about. But probably still starting with the Bills.
This is, I don't want to say the rarity, because sporting events often do rise to the level of anticipation and expectation. But this game was anticipated for sure. I mean, especially after the Sabres won there last Saturday, and the gap was what it was in the division. They go into play yesterday tied atop the division. So the stake is obvious. The Sabres players... we didn't talk a ton about it because it was such a busy week. I missed the back end of it, but the trade deadline and the Colton Parayko stuff and the Robert Thomas and DJ Moore eventually. Now we've got more with the NFL free agency negotiating window and everything. There's a lot going on. But the Sabres, to a man, it sounded like expected Tampa to try them last night. They know how that team works. They've seen their games with Florida, like I referenced. So they were ready for it. And that maybe came in handy. They weren't caught by surprise suddenly being in this sort of back alley brawl type of scenario. I just know for hopefully the last time in our careers together that we have a definitive answer on whether or not the fans will ever be back. Because we've been through this twice now since we've been together, once very early on. I mean, there was a season that was lost, and the Sabres were bankrupt. The league was running them for a time before that lockout, and we'd sit in here and before that lockout happened, 8,000 people on a Thursday night to see Philadelphia.
Jeremy Roenick.
Right. Yeah, what happened to you, Buffalo? This used to be a thing, and we used to be a part of that thing for you when he was on the Flyers. Right, exactly. And I would say then, you just need the fuse to get relit. It'll happen. And then 05-06 came along, and eventually, middle of that year or a little sooner, there it was. It happened. It blasted off. And this has been a longer wait. There was no bankruptcy, but there was a lot of half-empty buildings or worse. There was a lot of detachment and just a lot of disassociation with the emotional attachment to the franchise. and all it takes is them to like let a strap fall off their shoulder and bat their eyelashes at you, and we are right back. And they've done way more than just that.
That's what I was going to say next.
They've done way more than that.
I still think it's good. It's still a process to try to accept this. Not that we don't want to. We all want to believe in it, but it's still going to be, for some more than others, a process in doing that. If you're really being honest with yourself, geez, how did this happen? These are the same guys that I think a year ago, putting it one way, Samuelson, just go.
Right.
Zucker, why bother? Byram, they're trying to trade him. The numbers are bad. I know I'd be guilty of this. I didn't think I was wrong at the time, but I would say I was so disenfranchised by the whole decade of futility. Just like, why do I need any of these guys? We entertained Dahlin trade ideas like last offseason or the one before that. Like, does it get to a point, is he the next Eichel, where It's just like, yeah, I'm wasting my career here? And there's a lesson. This doesn't have to work. There have been other experiences just in Buffalo where they tried to sort of, the mantra being, who wants to be here? And you're not very good, though. So, oh well.
Yeah.
But this has really paid off, and you cannot again deny the comments and their faces through these games. Like, why wouldn't it be the most fun they've ever had? And they're saying it is, and they look like it.
Yeah.
And it's coming out in the effort. And it was interesting and fun to talk to EJ Radick on Friday from NHL Network. I'm sorry you missed it.
Me too.
He had an interesting way of putting this whole shocking ascent by the Sabres. He said for himself, and I didn't know how he felt about this. It's not Travis or somebody we talk to all the time. I didn't know his opinion going in. And he said, for 2 years, I've always really liked their roster. But they had to get to a point where they would show up every game like it was opening night. You're not the Avalanche or the Lightning or a team that's like always good. So you don't have that. You have to sort of generate that yourself. This is opening night. And I wonder what that sounds like to like Lindy or somebody if he were to hear it put that way. I loved it because, I tend to want to think everybody's giving full effort and they're a professional, they're playing for their careers, that teams don't just sort of lie flat. But that can happen, and I can't think of another conclusion to draw about this other than that's what it was. And, that's going to be an easy example of that, if that's how you feel, is Thompson laying on the ice last year. Because a team with this energy, I don't even care if it was a clean hit or I didn't even need to see it, but I'm in it. I'm entering the chat on a play like that. Yeah. And last year's team had no time for it.
Right.
And they knew it when it was over. They knew it was a problem.
They were embarrassed, rightly so, but in the moment they didn't have a response. They didn't either care enough to respond or know how to respond. And neither one is going to get you anywhere.
And Luukkonen is there last night on the scene.
Luukkonen, right.
Lindy was great. So Lindy was asked about it maybe by Paul, like Luukkonen was ready to get there. It's like he got there, actually. He was
you said earlier, like 8-7 game with all those penalty minutes, it's amazing neither goalie got pulled. It's also amazing they didn't fight, considering Luukkonen I don't know where Johansson was. They never showed him and was it said what he was doing.
Lindy said he stayed in his crease.
He never moved, right.
The other guy stayed in his crease.
Luukkonen was ready to go. Like, that's usually you see him out he's at the hash marks or above the circles, wherever that fracas involving Hagel and Dahlin was happening. I'm just expecting to see the goalie's back coming into the shot, the other goalie coming, because he's absolutely on call here. And that never happened. Yeah, right.
Good thing he didn't, because then it's Vasilevsky necessarily.
I guess so.
Good thing he didn't.
Yeah.
How do you get away with punching a guy over and over on the ice and getting 4 minutes?
Good question.
How is that not the most obvious
I don't know.
ejection?
Yeah, I know.
I think it's more obvious than Malkin.
I agree.
Because Malkin, you might not be sure of what you just saw.
Right.
He's so out of character, maybe, but this is just a pummeling on the ice, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And he's not being suspended.
Right, $5,000 fine. Something will be done about that. How eventful it will be, but someone will take a turn on him, and he'll answer. He'll be there for it. He's that kind of player. I mean, he's not like the most aggressive, but he's, Four Nations. He's opening face-off, fight a Kachuk brother guy, Hagel. So he'll
Sabre draft pick.
He'll show up, but somebody's going to have to answer that. And I think Dahlin at some point is gonna maybe have to do something that gets him suspended for a couple games.
So what?
Like, I mean, honestly, like I think he needs to create. He's gonna need to show that he will protect himself because he's edgy enough. These guys aren't going after him just because he's the captain and because he's good.
It's interesting.
Like he is an antagonizer. Like any defenseman who plays those minutes is gonna be under the skin of key guys on the other team. It's a part of the job. I mean, not every guy who plays that level of, importance on a team has to play that way, but Dahlin is, he's got his ways of finding the back of the knee or the, on the laces. Like he's, he gets his shots in. And if they're going to come for him like that, he's got to do more. He did end up fighting last night. He had no choice, and that did not go well. He's got to pick a spot and, do something. I really think so. And that might sound absurd and sort of Neanderthalish.
I wonder if it's necessary at this point.
I think it is. I think he needs to get people off of him. And one way to do that is to, again, I hope, hopefully the games aren't important, but go knock somebody's teeth out. I mean, just, you'll get sat down, but your rep maybe will grow and guys will realize maybe I got to think twice before I try to take liberties with you.
I guess I am guilty of not having a fully formed take on what it is about him that drives people crazy, apparently. Like, on the Malkin one, he sticks Malkin
right
at the side of the net, and Malkin just might have, his instinct might have been like, you can't do that to me. I'm Malkin, and you're a Sabres guy that I think I've heard of, so I'm just going to hit you in the head. I don't know, like the Lightning, this is me, there's probably a word for this, like kind of reflecting or something, my own opinions and thoughts into the situation, thinking like, well, this must be why do I think Tampa doesn't respect them? Because I might have thought already that they didn't, and that's the kind of way you might play in that in that situation. Like we're going to teach these guys a lesson,
right?
Who's boss? And they did what they did, but they weren't successful. Like they came upon a team that was willing to go with them.
They picked a night where the Sabres somehow found their way to 4 power play goals to spend a lot of the night in the penalty box.
Yeah.
So I mean that's tough timing.
Without scoring on a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes.
Right. So I think that look.
How does Dahlin make guys so mad?
He's good. He doesn't engage fully in that. Like he's not going to tell you he wants to fight. And so he's sneaky, dirty. He's appropriately dirty, right? He does stuff that aggravates and doesn't answer and is excellent.
Yeah, he doesn't involve in, as he put it, the stupid stuff.
Right. I'm here to play hockey. And so that is always going to draw a certain level of animosity from the opponent. He's an important star player. He is going to chop me behind my knee where there's no padding and try to get away with not having to do anything about it. That's going to make me want to punch him in the face too. Like I totally get it. That's why I'm saying I think at some point him picking a spot to sort of get after somebody who challenges him that way could be good for him.
Yeah, as you're describing all that earlier and now, I'm thinking of the Bill Russell metaphor, which I admit I got from the West Wing, so I'm assuming it's true.
You borrowed it from West Wing.
So, like Bill Russell, this physically dominant, imposing center for the Celtics, of course, for all those years, when he would play like game to game, most games weren't televised, and he was a little bit maybe not soft, but he was not somebody who was going to hurt you. But when the game was on TV, he would throw an elbow.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody thought, like, uh-oh, this guy.
Don't go through the lane.
Unfortunately for Dahlin, all the games are televised.
Right.
So if he's going to throw an elbow against Columbus or something, sorry, Columbus, multiple shots at Columbus here. Well, we've enjoyed this season. I have for observing and sort of realizing different levels of interest in this, and it's near peak now. Today, I found myself at this particular level of interest. I looked up Tampa Bay's schedule for the rest of the season.
Okay.
They have 2 games left each with Detroit, Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa. They have 14 games left, right? Or that's more than that.
It's got to be more than that.
It's more than the Sabres.
They played.
It's
They have 20 games left.
20. We have 18.
Right.
20 games left, 2 against Detroit, 2 against Boston, 2 against Montreal, 2 against Ottawa. Whatever that means to like rivalry stuff, I don't know, but it's probably good for the Sabres.
Yep.
Those teams, unless it's 3-point games, I guess. But somebody's losing all 8 of those games.
Right.
Ottawa's still in it. I mean,
Yeah, they are. Yep.
And the Sabres have 18 games left, 2 against the Sharks, who they play tomorrow, 2 against Washington, who they play Thursday. Everything else is one time. They don't play any other team more than once of the remaining 14 games. 2 Sharks, 2 Capitals. Everybody else that they have left is 1, including the Lightning here on April 6th. Well, there's always, or not always, but often a thought process here where like, all right, well, we've got the Sabres and we've got the Bills. I frankly think starting with anything but the Sabres today would have almost been like disloyal.
I agree.
I mean, that game was just, if the Bills had signed who, we can't do it. I don't know. Like that, I'm not sure there's anybody.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Bills. I mean, there'll be plenty of Bills.
Sure.
And, maybe even next to kind of take stock of what has happened or I guess not happened as far as they're concerned. You haven't been here yet since DJ Moore happened late last week, so we'll do that too. On either